Please welcome Angela Glover Blackwell.
I want you to close your eyes and listen for a second.
Experience microaggressions every day as a woman of color in the workplace.
My manager threatened to throw something at me to get my attention.
Referred to speaking ghetto.
Soy la única mujer de color en mi equipo.
My manager shouted at me.
It's just a effing joke.
I don't see you as a black girl.
I don't see color at all. Yeah, right.
I am Latina, and my manager refers to me as spicy. ¿Puedes creer
I
eso?
feel like I can't say what's going on.
I can't lose my job. I am the token black woman at work.
I have been passed up for a promotion because of my skin color.
My manager shouted racial slurs in a team meeting and got
Is
away.
corporate America built for women of color to be successful?
Microaggressions, they stand in the way. They stand in the way every day, all the time, and we have some urgent business to attend to. I remember years ago, many years ago, when I was first beginning to practice law, I joined a very prestigious public interest law firm. They didn't really hire people out of law school, but I had gotten a temporary job there right out of law school to help to get ready for a trial. People were so excited about what I was bringing, they quickly developed a program that would allow me to be able to join the firm, but as a fellow. I joined the fellowship program. It was their way to bring me in, but within 6 months, they said, oh, just let that go. Just come, be one of our partners, and I did. But there was a woman there who had been what they called legal secretary then. I don't suspect they use that language anymore. I haven't practiced law in 20 years. But she was smart as a whip. She understood the law, but she wasn't a lawyer. One day I had gone to work not expecting to have to go into court, dressed very, very casually, and something happened and my case was up and I had to go to court. Went into the women's room with a couple of other women who were there, borrowed a skirt from somebody, got a blouse from somebody else had a jacket, looked at myself, I looked pretty good, looked in the mirror and said, does anybody have any lipstick? I think I need to add a little color. And this woman who had smart as a whip, knew everything about the law, but not a lawyer, white woman, said, I thought that's why we brought you in. I was so taken aback. I mean, I had been friendly with her. She had helped me out on a couple of cases. And I thought, she didn't hurt me. What she did is she exposed herself. I thought, I didn't know you were in that kind of pain. I could see it, but I didn't know it. That was a long time ago for me. Lots of things have happened. As I thought of what story I was going to tell you, I had to flip through hundreds, okay? But I lifted that one up because it was a clear example that it was really about her. It wasn't about me at all. But many women in my same position, black, new attorney, wondering how are you doing, could have been deeply wounded by it. We all know about these situations. I want you to just stop, just take 30 seconds and turn to somebody and say, it happened to me, I heard about it, I was the one who misstepped, misspoke. Just take a minute and bring this reality into this room, into all of our lives right now. Just a few seconds. Turn to the person next to you. Okay, that was enough. It took you a second, but you know what I'm talking about. You absolutely know what I'm talking about, and you also know how to fix it. You also know how to fix it. You know how to fix it because you all know when you're never going to make that mistake. I remember once when I was the senior vice president of the Rockefeller Foundation, I was having a meeting with someone who was coming in. The president and I were going to meet together. I looked like the senior vice president of the Rockefeller Foundation. And someone came in, man, walked up to me and said, I need a copy of this for the meeting. I said, oh, I'll make sure you get it. And then I entered the meeting and I said, did you get those copies? He looked so embarrassed. He looked so embarrassed. But what I thought is that he didn't see me. He didn't take a look at me. He didn't think about the possibilities. But if he were in a different position, he would have taken a different tack. We all know how to Identify somebody who you think is important and make sure you don't misstep. The problem is we see women of color and we don't think they're important and we misstep. What I want to do is spend my time making you think about how important it is that we see women of color, that we see black women, and we understand they are the most important people out there. Because the fate of the nation is dependent on what happens to the very people that we have been marginalizing in this society. You all know that by 2044, the majority of people in the country will be of color. You may not know the majority of babies born since 2012 have been of color. Perhaps you don't know that 4 months from today, the majority of all children in the United States of America will be of color. By 2030, the majority of the young workforce will be of color. Some people tell me, don't say that. They said, don't tell this story. Don't keep putting that out. That's what's frightening the nation. And I say, I am not making it happen by talking about it. And the very people who we don't want to know these facts have already figured it out. That's why they are so busy being nostalgic for a time that never was, while ignoring a future that is inevitable. We need to be about the future that is inevitable. And we need to understand that it is a bright future. After all, particularly for business, but it's a bright future in general, but particularly for business and in the workplace. What could be more exciting in a global economy than to have a workforce that is connected to the globe through language, through kinship, through custom? What could be more exciting in an economy that depends on innovation, to have a population that is so entrepreneurial? People who are Asian, Latinx, and Black are 3 times as likely to start a small business as people who are white. What is it like to be in a place where you have a young workforce, you have families that are starting, you have people who are beginning, who are hungry and creative and bringing forward this desire to participate, which makes any society strong? It is a gift. It is a gift. It is a gift to the United States, perhaps a country that doesn't even deserve the gift. But it is a gift nonetheless that prepares for the future if we only invest. There is urgency. And so when we're thinking about these issues of microaggression, if they stifle inclusion in the workplace, if they hold back someone from making their contribution, if they keep any company from being all that it can be, it is not a problem for the person who is experiencing the assault. It is a problem for all of us. And we do not do this work of building an equitable society. And when I use the term equity, I mean just and fair inclusion into a society in which all can participate, prosper, and reach their full potential. When I talk about building an equitable society, I am talking about the possibility of this nation to be able to stand on a world stage with pride, because we finally will have figured out, in the context of extraordinary difference, how to build a democracy and an economy that can thrive into the future. We do this for ourselves, not for the other. We do it for ourselves because we are the other. We are the difference that we are so afraid of. That when we talk about diversity, we are not excluding people who are white. They are diverse too. And what is so wonderful about understanding this is the only work that we have to do, not something we do as charity, not something we do on the side. It is the only work we have to do. I always think about it as the curb cut effect. You know those curb cuts that are in the sidewalk. They are there because of the advocacy of people with disabilities. People with disabilities in wheelchairs, that no matter what rights they had been able to get, those rights were hollow so long as people could not move around their communities for jobs, for democratic participation, whatever it might be. But how many times have you been pushing a stroller and been so happy you didn't have to pick that contraption up because of the curb cuts. How many times, like me, have you been trying to get that train and you don't have to break your stride when you get to the corner? And it even saves lives. 9 out of 10 unencumbered adults cross the street at the corner because of the curb cut. The lesson of the curb cut is that when we solve problems with nuance and specificity, thinking about those who are most vulnerable, we solve them for everyone. The benefits cascade up and out. You have seen it. You have seen it with the Head Start program, where we focused on poor Black children in Mississippi and thought about what did they need to start school, ready to learn, and we ended up understanding we had to provide early childhood development for all children. You've seen it with what I think of as the would-be gold standard of the curb cut effect, the GI Bill. The GI Bill would be gold standard because it was administered in a discriminatory way in local communities all across this country. But the GI Bill was designed to help what they thought would be about 100,000 returning veterans out of 16 million. 8 million took advantage of the education. Many more took advantage of the home ownership. It is no exaggeration to say that the GI Bill made the white middle class. You see it, once you know what you're looking for, you see it over and over again. The lesson that I want to end with, the thought that I want you to leave with, is we can get this right. We cannot deal with it as a side activity. Creating racial equity is what we all have to be about. We can't do it if we don't create an environment in which everybody feels like they belong, respected, and they're not hit from the side with an assault they never saw coming. They're not made to feel less than. They're not made to feel marginalized. We are so not done, but we have a moment in which we could begin to really get there. Thank you.